Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am here to review You, Me, and My Ex. This is episode 7, Hot Mess Express. And this is what we would call a filler episode because nothing really happened. Not really. But we did get to visit with some of the couples, not all of them, but most of them. So this shouldn't be too long a review because like I said, not too much happened. So let's start off with Alex and Caroline. Although Caroline wasn't in this episode, Alex is going to meet Steven, his ex, so they can have a conversation about, setting up some boundaries in their friendship per Caroline's suggestion. So, Alex agrees with Caroline that that's a fair enough request. So he is actually going to meet with Steven in person. This will be the first time we actually see Steven, not on the FaceTime. Alex says that they're meeting at a nearby park. It looks more like deep in the woods somewhere near Steven's house. Alex says that Steven is staying with his parents, and his parents apparently have him locked in the basement because they are serious quarantiners, and they never let him out. So he has to sort of sneak out someplace nearby so that if his parents call and there's an emergency, he can leave on a dime, through the woods to grandma's house he can go. So, but Alex is, sort of interested in how Steven is going to take this news about, sort of boundaries put upon their friendship. He wonders if Steven's just gonna kind of laugh it off and make a joke of it. Anyway, Alex is waiting. Steven shows up. Alex lights up. Now, Steven, what's going on with this mustache or lack thereof? It looks like Steven doesn't have the ability to grow a fully filled in mustache. He just has like end here, nothing in the middle. And then he got kind of a little bit of a patchy beard. The patchy beard doesn't bother me as much as what's going on here. But I guess he's trying, he has a little bit of a baby face if you ask me. And I think, the mustache is trying to mature him, but but he shows up and we actually get them sitting on the couch together for confessionals too. So I guess, Stevens has arrived. Anyway, he shows up and, Alex just kind of jumps into it and says, well, I want to let you know that things are extremely serious between Caroline and myself. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to propose. And, I think it's time for us to set up boundaries, but he doesn't want to use the word boundaries because that would imply that Steven has stepped over boundaries. And well, he hasn't technically because no boundaries have ever been set in their friendship. But, Alex wants to sort of maybe set up some guidelines, perhaps, maybe less FaceTime, specifically on holidays such as Valentine's Day. And this doesn't seem too shocking to Steven, and he agrees, he understands, like that's cool with him. We get them on the couch together and Steven says that he's just happy that, Alex never fully shut him out, closed the door on him and their friendship, considering what a shitty boyfriend he was in the past. And he kind of always thought that that door was left open so that maybe they could someday come together. But it doesn't look like that's going to be happening now with this imminent proposal. And Alex is sitting there and he got the one, Denzel Washington, Demi Moore teardrop rolling down his face. And, it's clear to me that he's not totally over Steven. And that's not to say he won't be eventually, but he's not. And I don't think Steven is over Alex either, but we'll get there in a second. So, Alex is emotional. He's kind of just wiping away his tears. I think Steven's more of a compartmentalizer. He just kind of, takes a sip of his water and they keep it moving. We cut back to them in the woods. And again, Steven's just, understanding, says that's fine. He just, again, appreciates that they can have a conversation, appreciates that they still have a friendship. Alex mentions that, he could never fully just cut Steven off as a friend because he's such a good friend and he's so loyal with a good heart. Okay, maybe a good heart. I don't know about loyal. I mean, he did cheat on you, but I mean, I guess friendship is different from like intimate relationship. So, again, in this conversation in the woods, Steven reiterates, thank you for just always being my friend, always leaving the door open for a friendship. I really appreciate that. And Alex says that this is probably the conversation he needed in terms of closure. And so they kind of get up, they, kind of walk off. And Alex asks if Steven would come to the wedding. And Steven says, yeah, of course I'll be there. Then we cut to Steven, he's alone in his confessional. Looks like he's down in his basement bedroom. And he's just talking about how when he was with Alex, actually more specifically when they broke up, he never thought Alex would ever date a woman, end up with the woman, because Alex never showed interest in women for as long as Steven knew him. But here they are, and it's a little strange to Steven, but, and then he kind of gets choked up and just is like, oh, this is too hard. Like, it's hard for him to talk about. I don't think Steven is over Alex either, if I haven't already mentioned that. Maybe Steven has grown up, has sort of realized the error of his ways, but I mean, it's all about timing. And, you live and you learn and you grow up, and hopefully, next time maybe Steven can be a better boyfriend to his next partner. Now, is this real? Because I like Caroline and I like Alex, and I like them together. I think it's sweet. I hope this isn't just some like made up storyline, because I'm rooting for them. I really am. But I mean, I don't know, because looking at it, it is a little odd. Not so much that, oh, it's Alex with the girl, but Alex still so like tethered to his ex, not really willing to kind of just let him go, at least for a while. Because I think that's what's needed for both of them to really get over each other, is to really just take a break, not talk. Let Steven kind of find somebody new. Let Alex really just be immersed in his relationship with Caroline. And I think if that were to happen, and then later on they can come together as friends, possibly, yeah. But anyway, that's it. That's where we leave it. I think next week we will finally get the proposal. But we'll talk about that when that happens. Let's move on to our next couple. Let's talk about Jimmy and Lisa, because really nothing happened in this episode, though they tried to make it seem like something was going to happen. So the happy foursome, Jimmy, Lisa, Wendy, and Jack, their significant others, arrive in Boca Raton finally to surprise Dominic on his 21st birthday. They pull up in front of his apartment. They call him up. He comes down. He says he's surprised. I mean, mic'd up and everything, right, with cameras there. But, I mean, he is excited to see them. They all agree that this is the best part of the trip. This crazy drive, road trip was worth, just being there with Dominic. And, okay, so the next day, Wendy has planned a surprise party for Dominic at, it looks like some kind of like hotel patio area. Dominic thinks him and a few of his friends are just going to have lunch with his parents and their significant others. But as a matter of fact, Wendy and Jimmy have flown in some of his friends from Jersey. His local friends are there. And, surprisingly, none of his friends that he's with have blown the surprise for him. So when he gets there, he is excited. He's happy. When Lisa's in her purple sequence Vegas showgirl dress, like in the middle of the afternoon. Jack is there in his Ralph Furley polyester daisy print, button up. They're an odd pair, but I mean, opposites attract, I guess, Jimmy's walking around flirting with all the young girls. Wendy's like, better he flirt with the young girls than his ex-wife. And I think that's just sort of Jimmy's personality. So it's harmless enough. Wendy's emotional. She says she's known Dominic since he was 3 years old. And at first it was a little hard to forge a relationship with him because Lisa just wasn't having it. But now they are all truly a modern family. And that's really all we see at the party. I guess the next day is the moment of truth, the moment we've all been waiting for, that their storyline has sort of been building up to. Jimmy and Lisa are going to have a conversation with Dominic and let him know the reason they got divorced, 25 years ago. No, not 25, 20 years ago, because he just turned 21. He was, I think, like 1 when they got divorced. Anyway, they sit down with him, the two of them, and they're kind of just like, oh, did you like your party? Yeah, it was great. Okay. And then Lisa just kind of jumps right into it and says, okay, you're getting older and, you've always kind of wondered about me and Daddy's divorce. And, I know you have like our wedding picture. And she looks at Jimmy like, he has our wedding picture like on his dresser. And Jimmy's like, yeah. And like, big deal. And then Lisa reveals, in the first episode, remember when they were going through their box of pictures and letters and knickknacks? Well, they noticed a lot of their pictures were missing, and lo and behold, Dominic took them. And Lisa says, it's because these pictures of us, me and Jimmy, it's all he has. No, Lisa, that is not all he has. He has his mom and his dad both sitting in front of him who just threw him a wonderful surprise 21st birthday party. We're able to fly in friends from Jersey. He's going to college there, but he's not staying in a dorm. They pulled up to a very nice apartment building that he lives in that I'm sure they're paying for. No, he has his parents. He has more than just some old photographs. Forgive me if I'm getting a little heated, but my beloved father is dead. I have our picture of him and I, the last picture we ever took together on our shelf. That's all I have of him, okay? I mean, not all. I mean, I carry him with me, but do you know what I'm saying? She is being very dramatic. And so when she's looking at Jimmy, telling him he has our wedding picture on his dresser, Jimmy's like, it's fine. Don't get all emotional about it. She's being very, very dramatical. Shout out to Flavor Flav, okay? So she's like, okay, well, she kind of gets back into it. Well, me and Daddy, we dated for 6 years, and then we were married for 6 years, and we wanted to have a baby, but we didn't want to have a baby until we were financially established and settled. And Daddy was working, and he finally got his Cadillac, and Mommy's business was taking off, and it would seem like we had everything, and you would never know. And then Jimmy's like, whoa, hold on, let me interrupt right here. Wait, whoa, hold on, wait up. What are you talking about? Are you going to go into the details about our divorce? And she looks at him like, yeah. And Jimmy says, no, we're not having this conversation. I already told you we aren't talking about this. Now, pause here. Me as a viewer, I'm confused because this is the way the timeline has gone, okay? In that first episode, Lisa went over to Jimmy with the box of pictures and the letter and sat down with him and said, I think it's time we tell Dominic the truth about our divorce, because all these years they'd just been telling him that, we were better off as friends. And that sort of, placated him for a while. But now, she wants to let him know that, Jimmy cheated on her. But not just that, I guess there's more details. I mean, we learned that he reproposed, but she said no. I thought that was it, but she's making it sound like, oh no, there's more. There's another secret, it just keeps unfolding. And it sounded like at the time, at that first episode, Jimmy was fine to let him know about the cheating, but didn't want to go into the dirty, nasty details, because that's really, he doesn't need to know all that, which I agree with. It got heated on the couch because she wanted to just share her truth, and he just didn't agree, and then he stormed off. And then in the next episode, she said they talked things over, everything was fine, and they decided they would tell him sort of the bare bones of what happened, but they'd spare him all the details. At least that's what she told us. Now, I don't know if Jimmy is being blindsided and that conversation didn't happen, because he's telling Lisa now, no, we're not going to have this conversation. I will get up. I will walk away. We are not doing this. So what did Jimmy think they were sitting down to do right now? Just talk about the day before's birthday party and how it went and how good the catering was? What did he think this conversation was going to be? I'm confused. Jimmy's confused. Lisa's not, because she's telling the camera oh, no. We did talk about this. He knows we're going to have this discussion. You can roll the tape back. But they didn't. Yeah, I would like for somebody to roll the tape back. Or did they have this conversation that wasn't recorded? So he gets up and walks away no, I'm not having this. I'm not going to be a part of this. No way, no how. And he leaves, and Dominic's just sitting there okay. And Lisa's just just kind of exacerbated by it all. And that was it. That was all. That's all that happened. Nothing. I mean, I think maybe next week Jimmy might give a little bit of, explanation to Dominic, but it was just their segment this week was totally pointless. Nothing happened. So let's move on and, catch up with them next week when something actually really does happen. Jerry, Jessica, and Kayla Vay. Do you notice how whenever I introduce their segments, I say Jessica, Jerry, and Kayla Vay? Kayla Vay is just kind of tacked on. Because Jessica and Jerry, there's no splitting them up, okay? The episode opened where it left off last week, which was Kay telling Jerry that she was going to pack up and her mom was going to pick her up, and she was out of there, okay? So she comes in again. Jessica and Jerry are sitting at the kitchen counter, and Kay comes back in, I guess to reiterate, I just packed my stuff. My mom was on her way. And Jessica looks at Kay yeah, we got it. We heard. We know. And Jessica looks back at her and says, I'm sorry. I wasn't talking to you. Do not look at me. Do not address me. Stay in your lane. And Jessica's just, And Kay walks off. And Jessica tells Jerry, see, that's what I mean. She's so mature. And then Jessica tells the camera, we're seeing Kay's true colors, like who she really is finally coming out, and she's so mature. Like when she says things like "stay in your lane," you know. Well, I mean, Jessica, you're being very antagonistic towards her and very passive aggressive. You know, why can't you? She's leaving. You're getting what you want. Why don't you just go in your room, shut the door, chill until she's gone? You know, she's trying to poke at Kay. And I'm not mad at Kay for sticking up for herself. I mean, it might be immature, but yeah, like, I don't think Jessica's used to being, like, kind of stood up to, you know? And Jerry tells the camera that, you know, he will always love Jessica. She is his best friend. He cannot live without her. Then be with her and stop this whole charade, you know? But at the same time, he tells Jessica, like, you know, kind of getting turned on right now by, you know, Kay's sort of, like, you know, kind of craziness, that she's so outspoken. And Jessica just shakes her head and tells him, you know, you men, like, I get it. I hear it all the time. Like, but I don't get it. Like, it doesn't turn me on, but, you know, whatever. So Jerry goes to his room where Kay's getting her stuff together and tells her, like, hey, you know what? I don't want you to go. Can't we work something out? Like, how about you go to the cabin? Because he says, you know, she quarantined for 14 days so she could move in. And if she leaves, like really leaves to her mom's, like they break the quarantine and they can't see each other. And he doesn't quite want to give up on Kay just yet, you know. Anyway, because I don't really see the way he's treated her, you know, put her in the closet, thrown her to the basement, have her sleeping on an air mattress, letting his ex-wife speak to her any kind of way. Like, I just don't, like, he's never stood up for her. He's never, I mean, I'm not saying that he has to, like, cuss Jessica out, but I mean, I don't see it. I don't see it. But he's telling her, why don't you come to the cabin? I can come and visit you. And Kay is just looking at him and she asks him, why can't she go to the cabin? And he tells her, well, you know, if it were just her and I, just the two of us here, you know, I'd have no problem sending her there. But, you know, there are kids here, and how would that look to my sons? You know, it just wouldn't be right. And, you know, Kay's just shaking her head and tells him, well, something's got to give. You know, what do you want me to do? And, you know, he's just like, oh, you know, are you just going to give, his manipulation, okay? Are you just going to give up like that? Are you just going to give up when it gets hard? Yes. Yes, because I've been the one trying. I've been the one compromising. I've been the one sleeping on the air mattress. I've been the one having to put up with her nasty, dirty looks. What have you done? Nothing but go to a cabin where I, you know, gave you a lap dance and, you know, massaged you like And I for real believed in that moment she was going to be like, no, I'm out of here. I'm done. But he tells her, you know, I'm begging. Well, you know, I'm not really gonna beg, but you know, I'm kind of like, it's me begging and asking, like, please don't go, please don't leave. And you know, can you believe his charm, his sense of humor just wins her over, because she can see that there's a possible future with him if he would just let it happen. I have to wonder at this moment, are they contractually obligated to film a certain amount of hours so they can create a certain amount of segments? Because for the life of me, I don't understand why she would agree to this, why he would even want to do this. Production is, explain it. Tell him, Sharp Entertainment. I don't know any other reason why she would agree to this and why he would come up with this, like, cockamamie plan to send her to the cabin. But she agrees. Okay, she'll go, you know, if he drives her up there, and he will. So change of plans. He goes back over to the kitchen counter where Jessica's sitting and tells her, can you believe this bullshit? So there's a change of plans. Kay wants to go to the cabin. Not, I invited her to the cabin, I want her to go to the cabin, we decided we're gonna go to the cabin. No, it's Kay wants to go to the cabin, so I guess I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna take her there. And Jessica just shakes her head like, that's crazy. She's not the one for you. I think this is a bad idea, but you know what? She's your problem. You want to take her to the cabin and hang out with her? Take her to the cabin and hang out with her. I don't care. It's your life. It's your business. Your girlfriend. Whatever. You know, as long as she's out of Jessica's house and Jessica's hair, Jessica's like, bye. Don't let the door hit you or your ass on the way out. And that's it. I can't. It must be contracts. But I mean, enough is I feel like if I were Kayla, honestly, and this were like a real situation happening, I mean, I would never, but you know, for the sake of this discussion, I would just be like, no, I'm done. Unless you send her to the cabin, I'm out of here. Unless you stand up to her and speak up for me, I'm out of here. But instead, we're getting, she's my best friend. I can't live without her. Then live with her. Then have her. Be with her. I'm out of here. Bye. Because Kay can do so much better. He's just like, you know, he's not my, I mean, I'm done. I'm done with them. I'm done with them. That's it. Let's move on. Jennifer and Josh, they're the exes, and Josh is a sperm donor for Jennifer's wife, Chantal. Remember them? And when we get their segment, it's really like the crew has been there filming with them, but we get these sort of condensed, you know, they've already had a gender reveal. They show like a snippet of it. They're going to have a girl and name her Camila. They've also been sort of talking more about the roles that Josh and Danielle will kind of play in this baby's life. They also met, that's a little snippet, they also meet with like a, what do you call them? Like a midwife, because they're thinking about having an at-home birth. We get a snippet of this. And they say they're thinking about this because there's just so many restrictions these days at the hospital in terms of like who can be in the room. And they've offered to let Josh be there if he wants to be. They also want Danielle, his wife, there. It's just, it's so involved, you know. But I don't know that they actually made a decision on whether or not they were going to do at-home birth at the hospital. It was just like this, like I said, these, like, it's almost like flashbacks. Like all these things are happening. I guess, you know, it's not worth making a whole episode out of, but you know, now it's the day of the baby shower. And so they're getting ready for the baby shower. Everybody's there, you know, everybody's kind of like ordering, Josh, can you do this? Josh, can you do that? Can you do this? And Josh is just like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. And somebody makes the joke, I think it might be Jennifer, maybe his wife Danielle, I think says, well, you know, that's what it's like to have 3 baby mamas. And Chantal, who's pregnant, you know, is like, no, I'm not really one of his baby mamas. Okay, so Danielle's like, okay, well then 2.5, because, you know, he had actual intimate relations with 2 of us, and, you know, his seed is in you, so that's kind of like a half. And they made this joke when they were first introduced in their episode about, you know, these are his 3 baby mamas, and I didn't like that then because I don't like the term baby mama, especially, number one, Danielle, you're not his baby mama, you're his wife. Okay, so baby mama to me means like a girl that you're kind of sort of with, you're definitely not married to, aren't even in a relationship with, and it's just your baby mama. You know, I would even say his ex-wife Jennifer, like that's your ex-wife. You were married, she's not your baby mama. Like, and Chantal really isn't, she's, you know, she's just the woman you donated your sperm to. It's because I really don't like that term, especially when, I know they think it's cute, Danielle, like, oh, I'm your baby. No, I'm your wife. I'm not your baby. It's just demeaning to me. What do you guys think? Am I being like sensitive? I don't like that term. I had a friend years ago who actually was with her boyfriend, got pregnant. They're married now, but before they got married, because they didn't get married till their child was like 4 years old, and she was really pushing him to get married in those 4 years, because she would tell me like, I'm tired of just being the baby mama. And I was like, you're not a baby mama, like you're his girlfriend, you're the mother of his child. Like, yeah, it's just, I'm going on too much about that, but yeah, I don't like the baby mama. Ain't none of them your baby mamas. Anyway, it's the day of the baby shower, and we meet some of Jennifer's friends. And one of her friends, I didn't catch her name, I'm sorry, is married to a man named Larry. I did catch his name. And apparently Larry was on the list of possible sperm donors, and they even asked him and talked to him about it. And he was fully down to donate his sperm, but only the old-fashioned way, meaning he would actually have to smash Chantal, right? And I can't tell if he's like serious or not. I mean, I'm thinking he must be joking, because his wife, I don't think, would be okay with that. But, you know, when they're all standing around, Larry asks Chantal and Jennifer, so, you know, why didn't I get the go-ahead to be, like, the donor? And Chantal's like, because I didn't want to have sex with you. And they're all laughing like, ah, like there's some truth to that, you know? And Larry's saying like, well, you know, if it had been me, you know, we would have got this done way faster than it took you and Josh. I've got really strong swimmers. Josh is not amused by this at all. He thinks that Larry's just taking this whole situation as a joke and very lightly, you know, and he just doesn't appreciate it. And he thinks Larry's just, you know, jealous that he wasn't chosen to be the donor. It's this weird like pissing match between these two guys, whatever, right? But then Larry asks, you know, Josh, well, you know, now that you're here, I've been meaning to ask you and wondering, like, so who exactly are you going to be to this baby? Like, what exactly is your role going to be? And in like a separate confessional interview, Josh says he has no idea. Like, he does not have an answer to give anybody. He just is totally at a loss. Now, maybe you should think about it. Maybe you should sit with the moms and ask them so we can have some clarity, because this question is going to get asked a lot more. But right now, he has no answer to give. So that's all we really see the baby shower. A few days later, Jennifer and Danielle want to go out, just the four of them, to a bar to have sort of a last hurrah. You know, Jennifer also talks about how she has a newfound respect for men who have had to like be there for their pregnant partners, because, you know, last time there was a baby, she was pregnant and Josh had to be there, and she didn't give him enough credit for, you know, kind of having to be the one to cater to the pregnant wife, as they should. But it's kind of been tough for her, you know, an adjustment for her. It's not as easy as she thought it would be. You know, Jennifer and Danielle are in the bathroom curling their hair, getting all primped and ready. Chantal, at this point, I don't think they say, she must be a good 5 months, 6 months pregnant. Like, she got a baby, you know, in her. She's fully pregnant. And she's on the bed, you know, you could tell she doesn't really want to go out. She just wants to lay there with her feet up. She's complaining that her back hurts. Like, last thing you want to do is like go to a bar with a gut full of baby. But, you know, the other girls don't care. They actually make Chantal the designated driver. And as they're driving to the bar, they're all, you know, it's really just sort of Jennifer and Danielle in the back seat commiserating on, you know, what are we going to tell people when they ask us about our situation? Who's going to ask you about the situation? Like, if they see Chantal and Jennifer together, they're just going to assume, well, they probably obviously had a sperm donor. Why do we need to go into, well, my ex-husband and the whole, like, you know, to do about it? And Josh is agreeing with me, because he's saying, like, we don't have to tell anybody anything. It's really nobody's business. Like, it just opens it up for a conversation he doesn't really want to have, because he really doesn't have any answers, you know? But they get to the bar. It's a sort of like outdoor campfire bar. Interesting, you know. Immediately, Chantal, obviously she's not drinking, and Josh doesn't really want to be there either. They're just kind of sitting by the campfire hanging out while Jennifer and Danielle go to the bar to like do shots, party. Danielle kind of takes off and does her own thing. You know, Jennifer comes back to like where everybody's sitting. It's really Chantal, Josh, and like a few other couples they met. She brings a girl over that she met at the bar so she can tell the story. And she says she loves telling the story of their situation because she just loves the reactions she gets about, well, that's my wife who's pregnant, and our sperm donor is Josh over there. He used to be my ex-husband, and he's married to Danielle over there, the girl I was doing shots with. And everybody's just like, oh, okay, like, cool. Like, what do you want them to say? Like, but, you know, you have an older couple there, like in their 50s, who are just looking at them and telling them, this is so strange. I mean, the woman is saying, you know, I come from a generation, you know, back in the 50s where, you know, we just, you know, things like that just didn't really fly. It's a different time. And the husband's agreeing, like, yeah, it's strange, you know. And Josh, this annoys him because he says in his confessional, you know, people are always telling him this situation is strange, it's odd, it doesn't make sense, and why? But nobody can tell him why it's strange and it's weird, you know? And so he looks at the couple and says, well, what's so strange? Like, would it be better to have two divorced parents like hate each other? No, why does it have to be such an extreme, Josh? Like, why can't they find somebody not connected? Because see how all muddled it is, Josh? You don't even have answers for it yourself. Because if it wasn't strange and weird, it would be no problem for you to just say, well, you know, I'm going to be involved, not as a dad, so to speak, but I'll be around. And even earlier, you know, Larry, after, you know, he asked him, what's your role? And Josh didn't have an answer. Larry, you know, they pulled him aside and he said, you know, he has a son that he loves. Like, when his son was born, like, he didn't think he could love anybody more than his wife, but this son just, like, you know, has his heart. And he tells the camera, there's no way Josh isn't going to be emotionally tied or connected to this kid. Like, it's inevitable, you know. And I think Josh knows that, but, you know, the mommies are telling him, no, you're not a dad, no, you're not really involved, but you're going to be around, and, you know, you have other kids with the other moms who call you dad, but it's because it is confusing at the very least. And maybe, no, it's strange. It's unusual. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it can't be worked out, but it is a little unusual. You know, I get it. Families are different. They're made differently. They come together differently. I get all that. That's fine, you know. But for him to think like, oh, he's so annoyed. People think it's so strange. Well, it is a little strange. This isn't something we hear every day. I mean, if it wasn't strange, it wouldn't be on this TV show right now. So anyway, you know, Jennifer just keeps going around telling everybody, strangers at the bar, their situation. And finally, Josh is over it because he's tired of the questions. He's tired of the looks. And he tells the group, like, I'm out of here. Let's go. Let's leave. But, you know, Jennifer and Danielle are just getting their party on. They don't want to leave. So he's like, then I'm leaving you. And him and Chantal are like, we're out of here then. And as, you know, Chantal's like, you know, what's going on? He's like, I'm over it. You know, they want to party. I don't want to be here. Like, let's leave. And so they leave. I don't know if Chantal's going to drive back for them later, but you know, as they leave, you know, we have Jennifer telling the story. It was great editing, telling the story again. Like, yeah, so my husband that just left, like, that's my ex-husband and he's a sperm donor for my wife. Like, she loves the story. She revels in it. She gets great joy in sharing it. Well, good for her. Anyway, that's it. That's where we left them. I wonder if we're gonna see like the baby being born. Maybe, because in the episode we see that Chantal goes into the hospital with some complications. I'm hoping, and I don't know the status of the baby or if the baby's born. Probably is, but hoping the best for them. You know, Jennifer, stop stressing your wife out. Maybe just a little bit. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye.